children, and welcome to my chamber. My name is Rotherick Gastblood, and I'm your host of Tales from the Dark Chamber. This week, we have a great show for you. Tales to make your skin crawl. Each week, my chambermate and I read a scary tale that we found on the internet, or perhaps left under some corpse. Either way, we think you're going to like it, and we're just dying for you to hear it. So sit right back, light a candle, and let's have a ghoul evening.
Oh, man, am I tired.
Up late last night, Woody?
No. Just trying to help my mother with choosing a neighborhood to move to now that she's ready.
Oh, what a thoughtful son you are. Have you looked at a lot of neighborhoods?
Tons. Well, you know, at least 10 just in this past week. Seems none are exactly right for her. It's always, they're too young, or I don't want to live near a bunch of old people, or why are the roads so bumpy, or it's too far away from the...
I get the point, Woody. Sounds like your mother knows what fits her.
Yeah, she is picky.
Wasn't too picky about having a ninny.
What?
Sounds like she'll spend a pretty penny. Houses there are expensive. It's a popular area.
Uh-huh. Well, we did see one she seemed to like. Do you know anything about, the Dunkelwald neighborhood?
A Dunkelwald? Why? Has she seen it?
I mean, well, yeah. We went by it the other day. Nice place. She wants a homeowners association to maintain the common areas. Looked okay, but the cemetery across the field creeps me out. Do you know it?
Woody, I suggest you look elsewhere. Yes, I have visited that area before. It's a pleasant neighborhood. That is, if you're a ghoul.
Why?
Let's just say that the residents there are old. Very old. And dead. Not to mention, the area has a reputation of seeing them from time to time.
Oh, jeez. Well, I'm glad you told me.
Why?
She put an offer in on a house there. But that does remind me of tonight's story. We read Corpse Day from an author off Reddit named Cryptid Muse. Her advice: when you move into a neighborhood with an HOA, follow the rules. It just might save your life. Enjoy. Corpse Day by Cryptid Muse. You see a lot of stories online about how horrible a homeowners association, HOA, can be, and how it's best to never get involved in one because of arbitrary rules and outrageous fines and mandatory fee payments. Of course, you also hear people say that HOA itself isn't bad. It's usually the individual boards and the bylaws that make them bad. I believed those who said it was individual. So when my job required me to relocate to this town, I scrutinized any place that had an HOA to see if it was acceptable to me. Pine Frost seemed like the perfect HOA, or at least as perfect as a group of strangers dictating what you were allowed to do could be. The bylaws were fairly reasonable. I had a lawyer friend look over them to decipher the jargon for me. They had some social events open to the public, but some social events were exclusive to the community. finally, the rural neighborhood wasn't filled with cookie-cutter homes. Each was unique, so the area looked natural instead of designed. It was gorgeous, and I couldn't wait to sign the papers. Though I realized on the first day that not all of my neighbors were pleasant. Some pot-bellied jerk parked at the end of my drive and catcalled me. I politely waved him off, but then he got into a wind calling me very degrading names. Yeah, that's how you get women you want. The moving company had to carry everything from the road because he still wouldn't move. It ended with me calling the HOA office. I finished moving in a couple of days ago and was finally able to sort through my mail. I got the usual bills and junk mail, but I also got a couple of cards from my neighbors welcoming me to the community. Finally, at the bottom of the stack, I found a letter labeled Exclusive Community Event Reminder. Dear resident, it's that time of year again, and most of you already know what to do. We had a few new members join our community, so for their benefit, we will include the details. The annual Corpse Day is coming up, which falls on the same day every year. Everyone will be expected to go to their assigned shelter. Your shelter is at address redacted. Those that don't report intended attendance to their assigned shelter will be automatically given a single night's worth of winter survival. Those that remain at home will receive a fine for the price of these supplies and any necessary repairs. We will be following the same guidelines from last year. Members are to wear a face mask and remain with their household group. Each group is to maintain a 6-foot distance from other groups. The shelters have dividers marked for convenience. I couldn't decide how I felt about this at first, but the event was later that day, so I decided to ask about it when they brought my supplies. If they hadn't insisted the letter was fully accurate, if they hadn't implied it was sort of a game, maybe I would have gone. I'd have played along with their silly game and been none the wiser. I told the head of the Pine Frost HOA, and she thanked me for the feedback. I'm not sure if she'll actually employ it. I wasn't going to get cold. There weren't any storms expected, so there was no real reason I would even open the box on my living room floor. I wouldn't have to pay any fines. I'll be fine. I locked up and settled back to enjoy my evening reading. The first thing I noticed was the cold. I know it's only January and supposed to get cold, but the weatherman isn't usually off by 30 degrees. I turned to the weather app. Maybe I misremembered, but they were saying the same temperatures with nothing about a sudden cold front moving in. There was shouting outside. I peeked out the windows behind my curtains, curious but not brave enough to venture outside. One of my neighbors was running down the road, being chased by dozens of people. They looked odd. The skin was whiter than it should be, and clumps of ice hung onto their entire body. They were fast, so fast that individual details of their faces and clothes seemed blurry. Before long, they had my neighbor surrounded. I shortly realized that this was the guy who had catcalled me on my first day here. As the crowd closed in on him, he stopped shouting. It was as if he held a conversation while they crept in closer and closer, until one stepped forward. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but he embraced the one that came forward. His skin faded to a much lighter color, and clumps of ice blossomed all over his body. The fog stopped coming from his mouth. They released him. He stood there. He turned to me. They all turned to me. I gasped and dropped the curtain. Okay, it was time to open that box. Laying on the top was a letter. So you decided to stay home. I could only assume you're one of the new members. Take this box with you and barricade yourself in the bathroom before you do anything more. Good luck. I did as the letter said. Inside was a space heater, I plugged it in immediately and turned it up. There was a sleeping bag. I put it on the bottom of my bathtub, thankfully dry. There was some snack foods to help me through the night, some caffeinated beverages, and a few bottles of water. Then another letter at the bottom and a flashlight. Hey, Tabby, I suspected you might stay behind, but I'm still hoping that I'm wrong as I type this up. You want answers. Unfortunately, nobody has those answers. Make sure the heater is turned up as hot as it can go. You want that bathroom to be as warm as possible in case the power goes out. It usually happens when people stay home for Corpse Day. I turned the heater as high as it would go. I even pulled a towel out and shoved it under the crack of the door to trap as much heat as possible. So what we do know is that every year on this day, a bunch of frozen corpses walk through our neighborhood. Only our neighborhood, nowhere else. If you're outside, they'll steal all of your body heat, but it's never enough for them. At least they take the bodies with them. No cleanup necessary. My mind turned back to what happened to Catcaller and I shuddered. Though I really disliked him, I wouldn't have wished death upon anyone. I double-checked the towel shoved against the bottom of the door and went back to the letter. Just because you're in the bathroom doesn't mean you're safe. They can enter any area that's just below freezing. Barriers won't keep them out. They can just manifest into the cold space closest to you. I don't know why they break the windows, maybe to hurry the cold to you. If you find the cold creeping in because the power went out, usually, there's a mantra you can repeat to keep them away. We don't know why it works, but it works. The mantra is, Mithra, keep me safe and warm. I checked the time on my phone and saw it was only an hour past midnight. My phone had no service. Now of all times, I muttered to myself. It was getting uncomfortably warm, but I wasn't about to turn that heater off. I'd seen the bodies. I watched the ice grow from Catcaller's skin with my own eyes. I laid down on the sleeping bag and decided to wait until morning. I woke up as my body shivered forcefully and the ends of my fingers ached. I don't remember going to sleep. I checked the thermostat on the bathroom wall, barely above freezing. Shit! They would be getting inside soon. Images of what happened to the Catcaller flashed through my mind, and I considered my impending doom. I swear my thoughts summoned him. I could hear them outside the bathroom door. "Tabby, open up!" he called out to me. I still don't remember ever telling him my name, and I can't fathom how he would have found out. "Tabby, join the frost!" he cooed to me. I saw what happened to you when you joined the frost. It wasn't pleasant. I looked at the thermostat again. It had dropped another couple of degrees. I was barely 3 digits above freezing. I checked my phone and saw it was only just 2 in the morning. There was a chant, a mantra. Where's that paper? I eventually found it underneath the sleeping bag. Mithra, keep me safe and warm, I yelled out, feeling silly and doomed. The thermostat rose by 1 degree, but that was 1 degree further from my demise. I can do this. I just need to keep it up. I thought to myself, Mithra, keep me safe and warm. The sun wouldn't rise until at least 7. It didn't matter how well the door was barricaded. If it got cold enough, they would get in. I wasn't sure how, but I didn't want to find out. I cracked open the caffeinated beverages and spent the rest of the night chanting loudly. The power didn't return until the electric company came out the next day, and by then I could barely speak. My throat was so raw. Next year, I'm going to the shelter. For now, I'll pay the fine and get these repairs done on my house. Corpse Day by Cryptid Muse. Well, folks, that's our story tonight. Rothrick and I hope you enjoyed it. We sure had a great time bringing it to you, and we really appreciate you listening. Tune in next week when we bring you another chilling tale from the Dark Chamber. And just a note, if you're an aspiring author and you want your story read here on Tales from the Dark Chamber, send us a note at talesfromthedarkchamber@gmail.com. If it creeps old Rothrick out enough, we'll air it. And subscribe to our podcast for notification of our next new episode, or subscribe to our YouTube channel at Tales from the Dark Chamber and follow us on Instagram or Twitter. If you want your story read for your own use, or you just want to have it, check out my website at woodygvoiceover.net. You can order there, or you can find me on Upwork as Woody G. And again, thank you for listening tonight.